Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Nivada Grenchen F77 Mark II Gold. This watch is available from NivadaGrenchen in two versions. The gold version you're looking at is €1,865. The steel version is €1,645 respectively. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in a watch box which is housed inside this outer black cardboard box. On the underside of the lid, we have the Nivada Grenchen logo, and in the base there's a message which says "Welcome to the Nivada Grenchen Owners Club." It has their social media contacts and also the hashtag Nivada Grenchen if you want to share images of your watch online on social media. So this is the watch box, and as you can see, it has a cardboard protective sleeve which is carbon fibre effect, so one removes the cardboard sleeve from the watch box. And this is the watch box itself. So it's coated with vinyl, which has a grained leather finish to it. And as you can see, we have the gilt Nivada Grenchen shield on the top of the lid. And on the front, we have the Nivada Grenchen gilt text logo. So very aesthetically pleasing, good quality finishing. One removes the lid, which is a snug fit to the base. And inside, there's a foam protective panel with a cutout on the underside. And this does a good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage. In the underside of the lid, we have F77, high definition image of the Mark I version of it, and also on the right it details the background and the history of it, so it gives the story of the F77. Originally the F77 was produced in 1977, hence the name F77, and then Nivada Grenchen released a Mark I version, which effectively was a heritage reissue of the original 1977 version in the same 37mm case diameter. This Mark II is updated with enhancements, and it's got a new case which is 38. So this is the base to the watch box, as you can see, fully upholstered with a black velour fabric to a good standard, has a cutout in the base, and the watch sits on a padded pillow cushion which is black velour fabric upholstered to a good standard, so good snug fit in the base. Also good thought through attention to detail, because on the base it's fully lined with black felt, and this is good because it prevents the watch box sliding around on a shelf or alternatively a polished desktop or tabletop, and also the watch box isn't going to scuff and scratch polished surfaces. So good to see a felt base, very nice presentation, very aesthetically pleasing watch box. With regards to the items that come with the piece, this is the cardboard warranty card. On the front there's space to fill in the serial number of the piece, because each F77 Mark II has an engraved case back with a unique serial number and a 2-year international warranty. On the reverse it details the terms and conditions of the 2-year international warranty, and I want to give due credit to Nivada Grenchen here, because often mid-tier pieces at the €500 to €5,000 price point only cover their watches with a 12-month international warranty. To get 2 years of international warranty in the mid-tier is excellent, and Nivada Grenchen deserve full credit for that. And lastly, one also gets this metal tag, which is die cast, and it says Nivada Grenchen F77, which adds to the presentation, and the back is sterile. The one thing that's missing from this piece, and I would like to see included, is an owner's instruction manual, or alternatively they could print a QR code on the warranty card, and therefore you could scan the QR code with your Android or iPhone to download an owner's instruction manual. The F77 Mark II manual is available online, but however it would be beneficial for collectors to either have a printed booklet, owner's instruction manual, with clear concise diagrams and instructions in English detailing the operation of the movement use, which is this stop rod caliber P024 automatic, or alternatively, as I've detailed, a QR code which could be scanned to download the owner's instruction manual as an alternative to looking at it online. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the F77 Mark II, and there are some notable differences and also upgrades to the Mark II versus the Mark I, which I'll detail. This Mark II version is available in two versions, gold and also stainless steel. So this gold version is 18 karat gold plated, and the steel version is stainless steel in silver. So the first change is the case diameter. The original Mark I had a 37mm case diameter as per the original F77 from 1977. This Mark II version has a new case which is slightly larger, 38mm case diameter on the Mark II versus 37 on the Mark I. We have a lug-to-lug measurement of 46.2mm and a thickness of 12.2mm. Again, this is a notable change. The Mark I version had a thicker case. It was 12.65mm. This Mark II is slimmer, it's 12.2, so it is 0.45mm thinner. Also, the case has a different profile. The undercut to the flanks is deeper, it's more curved, and also the flanks have pierced lugs. They have holes drilled in. The Mark 1 does not have holes in. And on the Mark 2 case, the undercut to the flanks is flatter. The case is more straight and flat. This one is more curved, so it wraps around the wrist more. It's also thinner at 12.2 versus 12.65 of the Mark 1 respectively. We have a lug width of 9mm, which is the same on the Mark 1 and the Mark 2. The bracelet tapers from 22mm at the lugs down to 15.8mm at the 2-button push micro adjustment clasp. Again, this is a notable upgrade from the Mark 1. The Mark 1 F77 has holes drilled in the flanks for micro adjustment. This clasp, as you can see, does not have holes in the flanks because it has a micro adjustment mechanism, which I'll show you, but the proportions of the Mark 1 and Mark 2 clasp are the same. Externally, the body is the same size, same proportions, same finishing, but it doesn't have the holes in the flanks. They've been deleted because of the ratcheting mechanism. So, beautiful finishing to it. We have a boxed top hat double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the gold applied indices and the gold Dolphin handset. Again, this is a notable difference between the Mark 1 and Mark 2 versions. This Mark 2 features Dolphin hands which are gold. They are 18-karat gold plated, as are the indices and of course the entire watch. Now, on the Mark 1, it uses baton hands, as per the original F77 from 1977, and the baton hands have Lume. These Dolphin hands do not have any luminova, and that's something to note, or superluminova, because it does have the same dial layouts as the Mark 1. We do have dots of Lume next to the applied indices, but the Dolphin hands are not lumed. That's something to bear in mind if you prefer to have Lume on baton hands. The dial is called an on-ink style because it is pure black, and it looks very deep black. It's a glossy enamel finish, and it looks like Vanta black, which absorbs 99% of light, and it really does look like the dial is invisible. The on-ink's black dial is one of my favourite aspects of the piece. It's got a lovely, glossy, deep black finish, which is shiny and enamel black, and it really does look like Musu or alternatively Vanta black. That is how dark it is. It's just incredible. The gold applied indices contrast very well with the on-ink style. I like the Nivada Grenchen shield in gilt at the 12 o'clock position, Nivada text in gilt, and also F77 and automatic. Just the right amount of information. I like that they haven't over-branded the dial with unnecessary text or specification. We simply have Nivada, F77 automatic, and either side of the 6 o'clock index on the dial we have Swiss made, which is true because Nivada Grenchen watches are made in Switzerland and their movements are also Swiss. This is powered by a Soprod caliber P024 automatic, which of course is Swiss made. Box top hat crystal looks very aesthetically pleasing. It does give the aesthetic of an acrylic crystal as per the original F77 from 1977, but of course sapphire crystal is harder and more scratch resistant than acrylic and mineral crystal. It is the correct choice. Beautiful profile to it. I absolutely love the slight distortion and magnification effect one gets when one tilts it at an oblique angle. Visually it does look very similar to the original domed crystal used on the original F77 from 1977. Octagonal bezel, which looks like Genta design. Often the F77 is referred to an homage to the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, which was produced originally in 1972. The F77, as the reference suggests, was produced 5 years later in 1977. So visually they do look similar. The Audemars Piguet Royal Oak has a similar octagonal bezel with flathead screws in it, as per this F77, and the F77 wasn't Genta design, although it does look very similar to Genta design, such as the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. I like the flathead screws and also good attention to detail because the orientation of the flats in the screws, the slots, aligns correctly with the octagon bezel. So it's good that they have aligned the screws rather than just putting them in randomly. It does add to the aesthetics of the piece. So bezel, head of the piece, bracelet and case back are all 316L grade stainless steel, and this version, the gold version, is entirely 18 karat gold plated. So the bezel, the head of the piece, the bracelet and the clasp are all 18 karat gold plated, also the crown. The only part of this watch which isn't 18 karat gold plated is the stainless steel case back, which they've mirror polished to a flawless finish. So the steel version of this is entirely silver and it's 316L grade stainless steel. So both the silver and the gold versions use the same stainless steel cases, but they 18 karat gold plate this version. I want to give due credit to Nivada Grenchen here because they could have used the less expensive option of gold PVD coating this watch rather than 18 karat gold plating, because of course 18 karat gold plating is more expensive, it adds to the production cost, versus the inexpensive option which is gold PVD coating. 18 karat gold plating lasts much longer, it's more robust and durable, and when subjected to daily wear and tear it doesn't wear off as quickly as gold PVD coating does, which is used by low tier Chinese brands for example to give the impression of a gold watch. So the bezel is solid 316L grade stainless steel, longitudinal brushed satin finishing to it, and nice large chamfer to the side of it which deletes the sharp top edge, but also it's mirror polished to flawless standard. Low profile to the octagonal bezel, it's absolutely gorgeous. Flawless 18 karat gold plating to it, no imperfections or flaws whatsoever. Top of the angular case is brushed satin finish longitudinally, and the angular lugs, which are brutalist design, also are longitudinally brushed satin finish with vertical brushed satin finishing to the edges, and then the top edge is longitudinal brushed satin finish. Nice angles, and they've also been deburred and chamfered very well with these large mirror polished bevels. It has the original F77 case profile to it, but slightly larger at 38. Flawless mirror polishing to the flanks, and we have the updated pierced lugs with drilled holes. The Mark 1 doesn't have them. The mirror polishing is excellent, and then the 18 karat gold plating is excellent, absolutely flawless. This Mark II case is better shaped. Deeper, larger undercuts to the flanks, and that deburrs it because there's no sharp edge to the undercut to the flanks. Nice large bevel to it. It enhances the comfort level, and you'll see in the wrist shot the benefit of this. This Mark II case has a more curved profile which wraps around the wrist. The Mark I sat on top of the wrist like a slab of 316L grade stainless steel as per the original. This curved profile of the Mark II case wraps around the wrist more, and it has that deeper curved undercut. I also like the pierced lugs which are beneficial as I've detailed. They've also redesigned the end links, as you can see, because often collectors were critical of the 9mm internal end links because they didn't articulate very well, but as you can see the end link in this oyster style bracelet articulates better than on the Mark I. So they've reprofiled the angular lugs and also the end link inside the angular lugs. So better profiling, better fit, and also better articulation. You can see the 9mm centre link in the end link, which is a female end link. It pivots better. So this is refined. Profiling is better, proportions are better, articulation has been enhanced. So let's look at the bracelet in detail. Oyster style bracelet, 9mm lug width as per the original Mark I, and it tapers from 22mm at the lugs down to 15.8mm at the 2-button push micro adjustment clasp. Beautiful luster to the brushed satin finishing of the stainless steel bracelet, and then it is 18 karat gold plated to the top side, underside and flanks. I love the luster of the grained finish to it, so it's got a nice matte sheen to it which catches the light rather than being mirror polished. Absolutely gorgeous. And the flanks are mirror polished to a flawless standard. I'm pleased to see screw pins used rather than push pins, because push pins would have been a cost cutting measure, and the mirror polishing to the flanks is absolutely fantastic. No sharp edge to the top edge or the lower edge of the flanks, so it doesn't feel sharp, doesn't pull arm hairs. Let's check the articulation. Excellent. Doesn't feel stiff or kink. It flows freely. This is an example to other mid-tier brands of how to get an oyster style bracelet correct. Build quality, quality control, tolerances are all outstanding. Doesn't feel sloppy. Doesn't have an additional lateral, longitudinal, side to side or up and down play, so it doesn't have too much slack. The end links articulate freely. They don't feel stiff or kink, but they don't rattle. They feel nice and tight. So the pin going through the end link has a nice friction interference fit, just as it should do. So the refinement is there. If I had to choose one word to describe this watch, it would be refinement. Fantastic. So no sharp edges to it, articulates freely, beautiful luster to it, and that contrasts with the flawless mirror polishing to the flanks. This is an excellent oyster style bracelet. Also the taper looks correct for a 38mm head of the piece, 22 down to 15.8, just the right amount of taper. Let's check the other side for continuity. Again, end link articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. You can see the enhancement. There is more articulation on this Mark II end link. They have refined it, which is good. Doesn't have excess play, feels nice and tight, good interference friction fit, as it should be. No sharp edge to the top edge or the low edge of the flanks. Flows freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, no stiff links, excellent. Beautiful luster to it, no sharp edge to the top edge or the low edge, doesn't pull arm hairs, feels comfortable, visually looks correct. Nice 22mm to 15.8 taper. I like it. It's just right for the case shape with a gentle design, the angular profile to the Brutalist lugs. It does need some meat on the bracelet. Normally I would suggest the Perfection personified taper of 20 to 16 with an oyster style bracelet for 38mm, but in this case it's acceptable to use a flared bracelet which is wider than the 9mm internal lug width. 22 has a nice aggressive taper down to 15.8. It looks good. It suits the angular Brutalist case, which is also gentle design due to the octagonal bezel. So let's look at the clasp in detail. Now, as I've detailed, the Mark I used a clasp with holes drilled in the flanks for micro adjustment. Nivada Grenchen have updated the clasp to a micro adjustment clasp. This one has deleted the holes in the flanks, so it's more aesthetically pleasing, and it also contains a ratcheting mechanism. 2 button push triggers are finished to perfection, mirror polished and then 18-karat gold plated. Beautiful luster to the body, as you can see, and we've got an engraved Nivada Grenchen shield which is done to perfection. Nice large mirror polished bevels on the edges which delete the sharp edges to the flanks, and they also mark the transition between the mirror polished flanks and the brushed satin finished body. Beautiful luster to the longitudinal brushed satin finishing, and the 18-karat gold plating to this micro adjustment clasp is fantastic. It's flawless. Heavy spring loaded action to the 2 button push triggers, and it opens freely. Solid mill 316L grade stainless steel internals, and you can see the 18-karat gold plating on every facet is flawless. It's just no imperfections whatsoever. No sharp edges to the centre section. The corners have been deburred and chamfered very well. Beautiful luster to the brushed satin finishing beneath the 18-karat gold plating. Let's check the hinge pins. Left hand hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, so that's good. Nice and tight. Perfect interface friction fit. No lateral, longitudinal, side to side or up and down play. Excellent. This is an example to other mid-tier brands of how to get build quality, quality control, tolerances correct. Fantastic. So let's check the centre hinge pin. Again, articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. Doesn't have excess play in any direction. Nice and tight. Perfect interference fit, as it should be. Finally, let's check the right hand pin. Articulates smoothly, doesn't feel stiff or kink. Nice and tight. No play whatsoever. This is outstanding. All 3 hinge pins are perfection. Left hand hinge pin, centre hinge pin, right hand hinge pin. This is an example to other mid-tier brands of how to get it right. Finishing is fantastic. No sharp edge to the top edge or the low edge of the flanks to the solid milled internals. And the quality of the 18-karat gold plating is just incredible. Every edge, every facet of it is completely 18-karat gold plated to perfection. Even the underside, they've deburred and chamfered it very well. Now I just want to show you something in particular that I really like, and other brands should do this. On the underside to the left hand portion of the solid mill clasp, they've milled this machined a large bevel which they've mirror polished, and this deletes the sharp edge one often gets with a sharp crisp edge on the solid mill clasp. Often it has this sharp edge which rubs against the wrist and it feels sharp, it scratches the wrist. But they've milled or machined a large bevel, and this deletes that sharp edge. They've mirror polished it to perfection. Now this really enhances the comfort level and the feel good factor when wearing this on wrist, because this large mirror polished bevel feels perfectly smooth against the wrist. It doesn't feel sharp, it doesn't scratch, and it really is outstanding. We're looking at high tier level finishing on a mid-tier price point piece here, and Nivada Grenchen deserve credit for this kind of attention to detail, because this bevel really does enhance the comfort. Other brands should do it. Now, one of my favourite aspects of this piece is the micro adjustment clasp. As you can see, it has a spring-loaded trigger, but the ratcheting mechanism is actually rather like a Rolex glide lock, but they've got this spring-loaded trigger in order to deploy it and adjust it. So 10mm of adjustment, which is excellent. Plenty of adjustment on the fly. And as you can see, just look at the quality of the 18-karat gold plating internally. For example, Nivada Grenchen could have cut production costs. Now bear in mind, 18-karat gold plating is incredibly expensive. It's significantly more expensive than using the less expensive option of gold PVD coating, which is not as durable and robust. But they've actually 18-karat gold plated the internals of the micro adjustment clasp. Every facet of it is fully 18-karat gold plated. Fantastic. No flaws in it whatsoever. Ratcheting mechanism is fantastic on this piece. Nice heavy spring-loaded action. So you've got to push in the trigger with a nice positive press. Now, when you push it in to adjust it to its minimum, you don't need to press the trigger. It's ratcheting. Nice positive clicks. Heavy clicks, feels heavily sprung-loaded. Nice, loud, audible clicks. Feels good, sounds good. In order to deploy it, I'll just show you when it's on its absolute minimum of 10mm. To deploy it, you have to press in the trigger with your index finger or thumb. And you have to press in the trigger hard. So the benefit of that is it's not going to accidentally deploy with wrist pressure. So for example, when you're wearing this on wrist and you press against it, you're not going to accidentally press the trigger and deploy it when on wrist. You have to press it in hard with your index finger or thumb. And then it deploys smoothly. Full 10mm, which is one full link. But you don't have to press the trigger to close it up. Nice positive indexing. I really like the heavy feeling of it. In terms of refinement, this feels as smooth as a Rolex Glide Lock. That's the level of refinement we're looking at. And I really like the 10mm of adjustment. It's just the right amount. With the absence of half links in the bracelet, 10mm is optimum. Feels good, sounds good. Now, when it's on its absolute minimum, the oyster style bracelet doesn't rattle inside the body left to right. There's no lateral side-to-side play. I'm just going to deploy it fully and check for play. Again, refined. Doesn't have excess play, so the end link in the oyster style bracelet doesn't feel sloppy. It doesn't rattle inside when it's on its minimum or maximum extension of deployment. This is fantastic. I really like this micro adjustment clasp. It's one of my favourites. Ratcheting micro adjustment clasp I've experienced in the mid-tier. An example to other brands of how to get it correct, because the finishing, build quality, quality control, tolerances are all excellent. And just look at the 18 karat gold plating again. Absolutely flawless. For example, this is an area that's not visible when it's on wrist, so they could have cut production costs and just left this in stainless steel silver in the internals. Nobody's going to see it when on wrist, but they haven't. They've 18 karat gold plated the internals to the same flawless standard as the externals, so it's absolutely fantastic. Feels good, looks good, works well, tolerances are tight, finishing of the 18 karat gold plating is incredible. So as I've detailed, the only part of this piece which isn't 18 karat gold plated is the case back. And they've made the correct decision here because the case back is in constant contact with the wrist, and of course it rubs against the wrist with daily wear and tear. So this is an area that's particularly subjected to a lot of wear and tear, a lot of friction from the wrist, and therefore if they had 18 karat gold plated the case back, of course it would be an area that's going to wear quickly. So what they've done is they've mirror polished it in stainless steel, and this is good because the 18 karat gold plating isn't going to wear off. And it looks good visually. The mirror polishing is absolutely flawless to the circumference. The center section is matte blasted effect, and the Nivada Grenchen shield and F77 logo are hydraulically pressed. They're forged. So the benefit of using a forged case back rather than using engraved is the hydraulically pressed forging gives a nice smooth finish to it. So it's 3D effect. It looks like an embossed shield in F77 with a circle around it, but had they engraved it, you would have had a deep engraving which would have had sharp edges, and therefore it would have felt sharp and rough against the wrist, scratchy. But by forging it with a hydraulic press, you get this nice crisp edge, but it's also smooth. And the benefit is this enhances the comfort level and the feel-good factor. When you're wearing this piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, it doesn't feel sharp. You don't have this high-definition, sharp, crisp engraving with rough edges. This has a nice curved profile to the embossing because of the forging of it. Visually, it looks very aesthetically pleasing. Comfort level is fantastic. It's a very smooth, comfortable case back despite being 3D effect. The circumference is mirror polished to a flawless standard. Milled slots are deburred and chamfered very well, and around the circumference we've got the specification and reference number for the piece, and of course the unique serial number, because as I've detailed, every F77 Mark II has a unique serial number which the warranty activates. The screw down stainless steel case back is solid 316L grade stainless steel, and it provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters, which is strong specification. Strictly speaking, this is a daily wear piece or potentially a dress piece. 50 meters would have been acceptable, and they could have used the production cost cutting measure of a pressed on case back, but they haven't. Screw down case back gives a better hermetic seal. 100 meters is strong specification versus 50 for a daily wear piece. It's finished to perfection, looks good and feels good. The 9mm end links are a good tight fit to the head of the piece, and the underside to the head of the piece is finished to perfection. I would describe the finishing to the head of the piece as high tier level. So to clarify, mid tier is €500 to €5,000 price point, high tier is €5,000 plus. What you're looking at with the finishing to the case of this piece, the head of the piece, this is high tier level. It's €5,000 plus level finishing on a mid tier piece costing €1,865. So mirror polishing to the underside to the head of the piece is flawless, and then it is gold, 18 karat gold plated, as you can see, to a flawless standard. The mirror polishing is excellent, nice large bevels to the undercuts to the flanks. The tips of the lugs have been deburred and chamfered, so no sharp corners, and it's just absolutely incredible. The 18 karat gold is highly reflective and shiny, but it's got a lovely deep yellow tone to it. It doesn't look cheap like gold PVD coating, which has a more straw coloured yellow to it. This is a deep yellow 18 karat gold, absolutely gorgeous. So as I've detailed, this case has a better profile than the Mark I, which was based on the original F77 from 1977, because the original F77 had a straight flat profile to the lugs and had slab sides, but also the undercuts to the flanks were straight. The problem with that is the original F77 and the Mark I, which was a heritage reissue of it, it sat on top of the wrist like a slab of 316L grade stainless steel. This Mark II is refined because we've got this nice curved undercut to the pierced lugs, and the bevel is deeper. So the curvature of this is deeper. It wraps around the wrist more, and than the original, which was flatter, and it had a larger gap underneath it. So this is better profiled. The flanks are also nice and thin and curved. This is a better case shape. The Mark II is refined. So let's test the screw down crown execution. Solid 316L grade stainless steel screw down crown, coin edge finished, nice large chamfer which deletes the sharp tips of the teeth, and it's embossed with a 3D Nivada Grenchen shield, mirror polished domed cap, and then it's 18 karat gold plated. Now I want to give credit to Nivada Grenchen here, because they could have just used a push pull crown, because this is a daily wear piece or a dress piece. It doesn't need 100 metre screw down crown as per a dive piece. They could have just made it a push pull crown with 50 metres, or just a push pull crown with 100 metres, but this is a screw down crown. Specification is strong. So let's test the execution. Silky smooth. This is sublime screw down crown execution, minimal number of turns. The interface of the internal thread perfectly meshes with the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. This is fantastic. To put this into perspective, this is every bit as good as the Rolex triplock crown used on my Submariner Date 16610, which I regard as the ultimate. The Rolex triplock is silky smooth. It is perfection personified. There's no discernible difference. This is as smooth as a Rolex twin lock or triplock crown. That's the level of smoothness, the level of refinement we've got here. Quality control, build quality, tolerances are all exceptional. Feels fantastic to unscrew. It's also correctly proportioned. It's not too large for a 38mm head of the piece, but it is large enough to get good purchase on it with your index finger and thumb. So when it's unscrewed, we're now in the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the Sop Rod caliber P024 automatic to its maximum 38-hour power reserve. It's a clone of the ETA 2824-2. Now, there's no discernible difference in terms of how it feels. It feels exactly the same to manually wind as the ETA 2824-2, or alternatively the Sellita SW200-1, which you'll all be familiar with, which is also a clone of the aforementioned. So the P024 feels the same as the ETA 2824-2 and the SW200-1 to manually wind. Feels smooth, doesn't feel rough or gritty. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up to its maximum 38-hour power reserve. 40 full clockwise turns is enough to fully manually wind it when the mainspring's fully exhausted and unwound. Feels good, I like it. So, pulling it out to the first click position hacks the movements. Now, if you look at the second hand, in gold you can see it's now stopped dead, so therefore it's possible to set the time precisely to the second with the Sop Rod caliber P024 automatic. So we're now in the time setting position. Nice firm resistance to the gearing. Again, it feels exactly the same as an ETA 2824-2, or alternatively a Sellita SW200-1. Low friction, but you can feel it feels solid. It feels reliable and robust because you can feel the meshing of the gearing. It feels tight, so there is some friction there, but it feels smooth. Minimal back play, feels nice and tight. When you rotate the coin edge crown, there's an almost immediate response. The Dolphin Minute Hand almost immediately responds, very minimal back play. I would actually describe this as less back play than the Miyota 9015, which you may be familiar with. Very similar back play to an ETA 284-2 or an SW200-1, very tight movement. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click and that restarts the movement. You can see the second hand begins to sweep around the dial once again. So, one detail I like about it is it runs at 4 Hz with a beat rate of 28,800 vibrations per hour. Something I like about 4 Hz movements is how smooth the second hand sweeps. So to put this into perspective, it doesn't stutter or judder like a 3 Hz movement such as the NH35A, which runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour respectively. 4 Hz gives that nice smooth sweep. It's very aesthetically pleasing. So let's test screwing the crown back down. Instant thread pickup. This is a perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. Silky smooth. It feels good to unscrew and screw back down. The pickups of the thread, the interface, they mate perfectly. And I really like the meshing. The threads pick up instantly. So Nivada Grenchen deserve credit. This is high tier level screw down crown execution. It's the kind of screw down crown execution one expects on a high tier piece costing €5,000 plus. One detail I like is the low profile rehort. So as you can see, the rehort is very slender. So it's solid 316L grade stainless steel, and they brush satin finish the rehort and then 18 karat gold plate it. Now, it's a very low profile rehort. The benefit of that is the underside to the box top hat double dome sapphire crystal sits very close to the cannon pinion and the Dolphin handset, but it still provides adequate clearance for the second hand. The second hand doesn't foul the underside of the sapphire crystal. But just look how low profile the rehort is. It's one of the thinnest rehorts I've ever seen on a piece. And bear in mind, this is powered by the Soprod P024, which has the same dimensions, the same profile as the ETA 2824-2 and the SW200-1 respectively. And other pieces I've reviewed with those movements, they have a deeper rehort. And bear in mind, this does have deep indices which are applied to the Onyx style. They are 3D effect. The Dolphin hands are also 3D effect. They're faceted. So the cannon pinion is the standard height for an ETA 2824-2 and an SW200-1. One would expect a deeper rehort, but this is the benefit of using a box top hat crystal because it's got this nice dome on it, and this provides adequate clearance above the cannon pinion and the second hand, and that means they've been able to sink the sapphire crystal very close to the Onyx style and the applied indices, but it does still give enough clearance in the centre for the cannon pinion and the second hand without it fouling. But just look how slender the rehort is. It's one of the thinnest rehorts I've ever seen on a piece. Fantastic. And the 18 karat gold plating to it is just perfection. So I like the way the Onyx style is very close to the sapphire crystal and the handset is close because the legibility, the clarity is enhanced. When you have a dial which is sunk deep away from the sapphire crystal and a very deep rehort, the legibility and the clarity is reduced because what happens is the dial looks far away and the hands look far away from the sapphire crystal and you get a lot of reflection. But this piece, although it does have a glossy enamel black dial which looks like Musu or alternatively Vanta black, it's not as shiny as you'd expect. The AR coating works very well, and although the gold indices and gold Dolphin hands are very shiny and reflective, when you look at the piece straight on, the clarity is perfect, and that's due to the dial being so close to the crystal. So, notable change between the Mark 1 and Mark 2 as I've detailed. The original F77 from 1977 used baton hands, and the heritage reissue of it, the F77 Mark 1, also used baton hands, which had Super Lume Nova, but this Mark II, both the gold and steel versions, use Dolphin hands. This is subjective. Some purist Nivada Grenchen collectors will dislike the Dolphin hands because they will argue the original F77 from 1977 had baton hands. Heritage reissues of it, the Mark 1 and Mark 2, should stay true to the original. They should also have baton hands. I like the Dolphin hands because they have mirror polished facets to them. They're not flat. And the mirror polishing is outstanding. They remind me of Grand Seiko hands. That's the kind of level of finishing we're looking at with the Dolphin hands. The mirror polishing is excellent. They're clearly laser cut and then 18 karat gold plated after polishing. And you can see the finishing is just sublime. So Dolphin hands are subjective. Some purists would like baton hands. I like the Dolphin hands. However, the negative is there is no lume. The baton hands on the Mark 1 had Lume. We do have Lume dots on the Onyx style. This really is a missed opportunity because when we do the Lume test, you'll see there's no point in having Lume dots on the dial if you don't have lumed hands, because you can't see the dolphin hands in the dark. But that's just the way it is with the Mark 2. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, I haven't sized the bracelet, and I'm pleased to report I can easily slide 2 fingers beneath the micro adjustment clasp and bracelet at all times. This indicates this will fit up to a very large wrist size of even 9 inches, even on my 8-inch wrist, plenty of room. Now, I'm on the maximum of the 10mm micro adjustment, but you can see it's a very long oyster style bracelet, so no concerns whatsoever if you're a collector with a larger than 8-inch wrist size. Plenty of length. There are enough removable links on the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock side to size this down to a minimum 6-inch wrist size up to a maximum 9-inch wrist size, and we've got 10mm of adjustment. Now, there's one negative subjectively I want you to be aware of. This piece could be further enhanced if Nivada Grenchen added a half link on the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock side of the oyster style bracelet, because we do not have any half links. We've only got full links on the 6 and full links on the 12 side. It does have on the fly adjustment, which is good, but sometimes adding or subtracting one full link from an oyster style bracelet doesn't give the desired fit. The bracelet will either feel slightly too tight or slightly too loose. So adding or subtracting a half link is beneficial. Also, it helps with centralizing the clasp if you can remove a half link either side. But in the absence of half links, the micro adjustment clasp does suffice. I like the profile of it. The body of the clasp, the dimensions, the proportions are exactly the same as the Mark 1 clasp, which had holes drilled in the flanks. So they haven't changed the proportions of it, even though internally it now has a micro adjustment mechanism, which is a ratcheting mechanism. That's good. So nice curvature to it. Even if you have a smaller 6 to 7-inch wrist, this wraps around the wrist very well. It's not too long, it's not too wide, and it's not too thick. So it's not a bulky micro adjustment clasp. Visually, aesthetically, it looks exactly the same as the original Mark 1 clasp, which is good. It does look like the original 1977 clasp used on the original version of the F77. So aesthetically, it stays true to the original, but of course we have the enhancement of the micro adjustment mechanism. Taper is good. Now, normally I would say 20 to 16, the perfection personified taper, is perfect for a 38, 39 and 40mm head of the piece. This is a 38, so it's 1mm larger than the Mark 1, but in this case I'm not going to be critical of the flared bracelet because it actually suits the gentler design of the case and the angular brutalist lugs. 9mm is of course a small internal lug width, but what they've done is they've done a good job of the bracelet, which looks like an integrated bracelet, and it has a nice aggressive taper, 22 at the lugs, tapering down to 15.8 at the micro adjustment clasp. 22 to 15.8 is a nice aggressive taper, so very wide at the angular lugs, lots of meat, but then it quickly tapers down to 15.8 at the clasp. So proportions look good. Comfort level of this piece and feel good factor are 10 out of 10. This feels very well balanced. Now, as I've detailed, this fits better on wrist in terms of comfort level and feel good factor than the Mark 1. You can see the benefit of the curved case. They've curved the case more than the Mark 1, and you can see it has a deeper undercut with that large bevel. The Mark 1 sat on top of the wrist because it had a straight profile to the undercut to the flanks, so it always sat on top of the wrist rather than curving around it. But you can see the benefits of this curved Mark 2 case, which is 1mm larger at 38 versus 37. It is only 12.2. Again, this is a notable enhancement, one of my favourite upgrades or enhancements. The original Mark 1 F77 was thicker, 12.65mm, due to the straight flat case, but this has a curved case which is thinner. It's 12.2, so this is 0.45mm thinner, and you can really notice it because minimal gap beneath the curved undercuts to the flanks. This curves around the wrist rather than sitting on top of the wrist, and you can see that it's thinner. Visually it looks thinner and it also feels thinner at 12.2. 12.2 for a Soprod P024 powered piece is very thin. Anything below 13mm is the sweet spot. Now bear in mind it does have a 2mm thick box top hat style crystal, which does add some thickness, but it's good. Looks well proportioned. The double domed box top hat crystal doesn't look too thick. It suits the brutalist angular lugs and also the gentler style octagonal bezel. Looks good, feels good, wraps around the wrist very well, minimal gap. They've also redesigned, they've reprofiled the angular end links. As you can see, this gives a better fit. Look how closely the end link in the oyster style bracelet now pulls to the wrist. It pivots better. This was often a criticism of collectors with the Mark I, which had a straighter, flatter case. The articulation of the 9mm internal end link, which looks like an integrated bracelet, you can see the problem with the Mark I was it didn't articulate, it didn't allow the end link in the bracelet to pivot as per a female pivoted end link. But they've enhanced it, they've improved the profiling of the end link internally. And what that does is it allows the end link in the oyster style bracelet to pull snug to the wrist. You don't get this abhorrent gap beneath the tips of the lugs and the end link in the bracelet as per the Mark I. So this has a better fit. They have refined the comfort level, the feel good factor. Looks better because you can see there's now less gap. Curvature is better, case sits snug to the wrist, so fits better. The end link is snug to the wrist, the articulation is better because they've refined the end link. Everything about this piece is more refined. The Mark II is more refined. As I've detailed, if I had to choose one word to describe this Mark II, it would be refinement. Fits better, feels better. Now, in terms of how does it feel, 134 grams, which is a pleasant surprise. Bear in mind, this is 1mm larger. The Mark I is 37, this one is 38. Similar 46.2mm lug to lug, so it's particularly suitable for collectors with a 6 to 7 inch wrist. This will even fit you if you have a larger 7 to 8 inch wrist. 38 fits all wrist sizes, but the comfort level is enhanced. Now, 134 feels comfortable, doesn't feel top heavy, feels balanced due to the meat on the bracelet, 22 to 15.8, the aggressive taper. It does need that flared bracelet because 9mm is a very small lug width, rather like an integrated bracelet. But by having the flared bracelet at 22, it matches the brutalist angular profiling of the lugs with the large mirror polished bevel. So they've got the taper just right, it blends into the angles of the case. I really like it. 22 down to 15.8, it's a nice aggressive taper. It flows nicely. So bracelet taper is good, beautiful luster to it. Brushed satin finishing is flawless. Mirror polishing to the flanks is flawless. In terms of comfort, it's silky smooth. No sharp edges to the flanks, doesn't pull arm hairs, articulates freely, looks good, feels good. Comfort level of this piece really is sublime. It's 10 out of 10. It's one of the most comfortable 38mm pieces I've experienced. 134 grams is good. Gives a nice feeling of heft, gives a feeling of wrist presence, but without being top heavy or uncomfortable to wear for long periods of time. You'll know from my previous reviews, anything below 150 grams is the sweet spot for 38, 39 or 40. 134, it's well below that, even with a very long bracelet. Even I would remove 2 links from this bracelet for my 8 inch wrist. If you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist, you're going to be removing 4 or 5 links. That will reduce the heft of this piece down to circa 120 grams. So 120 grams for a solid head of the piece with a solid bracelet and micro adjustment clasp. It's a very lightweight 38mm. So visually looks good, feels good. I love the deep black onyx style, which looks like Musu or alternatively Vanta black, and the contrast of the gold dolphin hands and gold applied indices. Just a fantastic looking piece. Comfort level is really good. It's one of the most comfortable watches I've ever experienced. I've reviewed over 500 watches, and immediately when you put a watch on wrist for the first time, you can feel, is it comfortable or not? Does it have any sharp edges on the flanks of the case? Does it have sharp edges to the flanks of the bracelet or the clasp? This feels immediately comfortable. It feels silky smooth on the wrist. So it's a very comfortable piece to wear. Very well balanced, looks good, feels good. Right, so let's do a lume test. Now, as I've detailed, purist Nivada Grenchen collectors are going to be critical of the use of dolphin hands without superluminova because the original F77 from 1977 used baton hands, and of course the Mark I version, which was the heritage reissue of it, also used baton hands, but they were lumed. I think they've missed an opportunity here because the dolphin hands do not have any superluminova, but they've added dots of lume next to the gold indices to retain the aesthetics of the original F77 and of course the Mark I version, which this succeeds. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, negligible performance. So really, there's no point of having dots of lume next to the indices because you can't see the dolphin hands in the dark. It's a missed opportunity. So what they should have done was either delete the dots of lume. I'm just going to charge them up again so you can see them better. They should have either deleted the dots of Lume, because they're not necessary if you have dolphin hands, which are mirror polished and in gold. And what they could have done was they could have added Superluminova to the dolphin hands as an alternative, but it really doesn't make sense to put Superluminova on the dial, dots of Lume next to the indices, as you can see, but we haven't got any Superluminova on the hands. So you can't read the time in the dark. That's what it comes down to. Had they used baton hands in gold, they could have applied Superluminova, and of course that would have made sense as per the Mark 1. This Mark 2 does have aesthetically pleasing dolphin hands, and I appreciate that Nivada Grenchen wanted to differentiate between the Mark 1 and the Mark 2. They wanted to make them look visually different. Dolphin hands does that, but subjectively one could say, well, for performance, they should have used baton hands with Superluminova. So we've got dots, as you can see, green C3 Superluminova, and it's not 5 to 6 layers either, because you can see the camera's struggling to autofocus. They're not very deep. This is a problem with just printing dots of Lume rather than having indices infilled with 5 to 6 layers. I think what we're looking at is 2 to 3 or possibly 3 to 4 layers of C3, but as you can see, negligible performance. The exciter is potent, but they're so small that they fade quickly, and the problem is with 2 to 3 layers you just don't get the performance of 5 to 6. But then the other thing is there's nothing to register them against. You haven't got any Superluminova on the hands, just dolphin hands. So disappointing. I think they've missed an opportunity there. I mean, aesthetically one could argue, well, the dots of Lume next to the gold indices aesthetically look similar to the Mark 1 and the original F77 from 1977. So I suppose they're trying to appease purist Nivada Grenchen collectors by keeping the dial layouts exactly the same as the original from 1977 with the dots. Of course, the original used tritium in the 1970s versus Superluminova, but dolphin hands are aesthetically pleasing. It's divisive. Some collectors will have preferred the Mark 1 baton hands. I like the dolphin hands, but I think they should have deleted the dots of Lume and just had gilt minute ticks as per the rest of the gilt minute ticks on the chapter ring, because that would look aesthetically pleasing. The dots really don't make sense, but there you are. So let's discuss the movement use, because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. So as I've detailed, this is powered by the Sodrod caliber P024 automatic, which is a clone of the ETA 284-2, like the SW200-1 is a clone of the ETA 284-2. It has 25 joules, it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. What I like about that is the characteristic smooth sweep of the 4 Hz sweep of the second hand. Hand winding and hacking works well, and it has a 38-hour power reserve, which is acceptable. Stated accuracy of the standard grade of P024 is plus or minus 12 seconds per day, so a rather wide accuracy range. However, I'm pleased to report that Nivada Grenchen are doing a good job of regulating the P024s they're using. This one is running consistently at plus 3 seconds per day. Plus 3 is well within the stated accuracy of plus or minus 12, and it's actually within chronometer limits of minus 4 to plus 6. So chronometer accuracy is excellent, plus 3 is excellent accuracy for a P024. In terms of quality level, the build quality, quality control, materials and finishing to the standard grade of P024 are equal to the standard grade ETA 284-2 and also the standard grade of Sellita SW200-1. It really is equal to those. So there's no discernible difference. In terms of build quality, quality control, materials, finishing and accuracy, they are all equal between them. In terms of reliability, the P024 has the same reliability as an ETA 284-2, has the same reliability as the SW200-1. They are interchangeable. The dimensions are the same. The only difference with the architecture is the P024 is a direct clone of the ETA 284-2, so it has the same 25 joules. The SW200-1 is a clone of it as well, but it has an additional joule added. It has 26 joules. But other than that, the architecture between all three movements are identical. The parts are interchangeable. It's just the SW200-1 has 26 joules. The aforementioned have 25 joules respectively. But in terms of quality, reliability, accuracy, they are even. Bearing in mind the standard grade I'm referring to, not Elabore or alternatively top or chronometer grade versions. The Elabore is better finished and the top and chronometer grade versions are better finished. Standard grades are all equal across the three. So plus or minus 12 is wide, but I would say plus 3 is excellent accuracy. And I like everything about it. Manual winding feels smooth, hacking works well, Setting the time feels smooth, and 38 hours is acceptable, +3 is very accurate. I like everything about it. So last I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So as I've detailed, this F77 Mark II is available in 2 versions. The gold version you're looking at is €1,865. The stainless steel version is €1,645 respectively. So we're looking at the 18 karat gold version here. €1,865 is the price point. I'm going to declare it excellent quality, and I'm going to declare the value as okay. I'm not going to say the value is good, and I'm not going to say the value is excellent, because it is expensive at €1,865. I would say okay is the correct rating for value, but quality is unquestionably excellent, because build quality, quality control, materials, finishing and specification of this piece are fantastic. No flaws to it whatsoever. The thing that impresses me above all else about this piece is the quality of the finishing. The bezel, the case back, the crown, the bracelet, the micro adjustment clasp, the quality of the mirror polishing, the brushed satin finishing, the deburring, chamfering and the bevels are exceptional. We are looking at high tier level finishing. So again, to remind you, mid-tier level is €500 to €5,000 price point respectively. High-tier level is €5,000 plus. So what we're looking at in terms of build quality and finishing here is high-tier level. €5,000 plus price point finishing and build quality on a mid-tier price point piece at €1,865. So therefore it's excellent quality. However, the one negative I want you to be aware of, as I've detailed in the Lume test, is the lack of superluminova on the Dolphin handset, because the original had baton hands. This is the one error. I think they should have deleted the dots of Lume on the dial because they're negligible. We don't have any superluminova on the Dolphin hands. Had they used baton hands as per the Mark I and the original from 1977, they could have inlaid the baton hands with superluminova and that would have been better, but the Dolphin hands do look very aesthetically pleasing, so it's divisive. The value I think is okay, because this does face some stiff competition from micro brands and other mid-tier brands which are making Swiss-made pieces, and they're also using the P024, the ETA 2824-2 and the SW200-1 standard grades. So at €1,865 this does face some stiff competition from other brands, but however one has to appreciate this is fully 18 karat gold plated. We're not looking at inexpensive gold PVD coating which will wear off with daily wear and tear. The 18 karat gold plating on this piece is absolutely incredible. Even on the internals of the micro adjustment clasp, fully 18 karat gold plated, there's no cost cutting measures whatsoever. Every facet of the mill clasp is 18 karat gold plated. It's fantastic. They've really done a good job of it, and I'm pleased to see they didn't use the cost cutting measure of gold PVD coating as per low tier Chinese brands, which of course it wears off and then it looks abhorrent because it reveals the bare metal beneath it, which is stainless steel, which is silver. 18 karat gold plating is more durable, it's thicker and it's better because when subjected to daily wear and tear it doesn't wear off as quickly as gold PVD coating. So one has to appreciate the production costs. So excellent quality, okay value. I'm going to recommend it to you for consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Nivada Grenchen F77 Mark II Gold. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.